anxious. It's not visible anyway. This man is certainly what I'd call a super leader, not just a global front of someone that's we all look up to. He's a super leader in the sense that he's almost superhuman. What do you think about that? And I'd like to get your feel on, I guess, sort of what the trajectory would be for Donald Trump and what you think's sort of unfolding.
Well, I look at some of the things Lavrov has said about during the Biden regime compared to now in that, and I think Lavrov was pretty on. The adults are in the room again. We have somebody with a brain that's functioning in the White House. It's obvious from statements by the Speaker of the House. He had told, I think, Trump himself, that he had asked Biden about certain executive orders he signed. He goes, I didn't sign those. Yes, sir, you did. Your signature is there. No, I didn't sign it. So he's not even cognizant of what he has signed. For who's been running the deep state, obviously, when we ask who's been running the country, the deep state. It is the deep state. Maybe he's being handled by somebody, but who is he? He's not Senator Trump. Whoever that is not Senator Trump. There are distinct differences, and that's evident as what you've discovered as well as stated that that's the case. And I realize that's the case, and I think most people realize that's the case by looking at how he looked and talked and facial features, bone structure, and those things that don't. It's incredibly hard to change those things to where Senator Biden and President Biden cannot be the same person. At least that's, as far as everything I've seen, it looks that way. And there's evidence of somebody wearing one of those masks like you see in Mission Impossible series where they can put that on, and they're so good at it. And then, of course, you have CGI deepfakes. All of that combined, there was actually, when that first came out, a person, I believe, went into the White House and talked to the president as somebody else and fooled the president. I don't remember what president when this was, but I know it's more than a decade ago, so it's quite a while they've had this. And then... remember, there was a CIA lady, wasn't it? And yes, it was. Yeah, it was a CIA lady higher up, of course, because you're going into the Oval Office talking with the president. Yes, good memory. I'm sure somebody listening will be able to post in your comments for this presentation, or when I get this loaded up on my Rumble, the same thing, and on my Blessed for Service website. We're putting all the past interviews forever that we can find up there. And so I'm sure there's quite a few brilliant, intelligent people with wonderful memories, very good memories, and will know precisely the day, the time, and the name of the lady. It's like that. People are so amazing. The people that are awake in this world are just incredibly intelligent and amazing. So back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like all of us play some kind of a role in what's happening in the world, and whether we know it or not, we don't have to be on the stage like someone, as far as being like President Trump or anything else, in the sense of we have a role quantumly, and we don't even know half the time what we're actually doing in every day. And I think it's very important to touch on that in the sense that I think everyone should take a moment to pause and congratulate themselves as well for the work they're doing, going within and healing whatever traumas of the past and everything else, knowing that it has a ripple effect, changes the outside world. I've certainly demonstrated that for myself for years now. And I think that's a crucial part of all of this is, I guess a lot of people who are watching today might still be trapped in looking at the external world and only the external world, where it's all about, for me, it's about knowing what's happening, but also being able to say, no, I don't prefer this, and let's make changes by going within and tapping into divine directly like that. I think we all have a hand in shifting the outside paradigm. What do you think to that?
It's actually absolutely correct. That's why Tavistock Institute does what they call long-range preconditioning, and why the cabal does disclosure in certain types of movies, putting more and more of a satanic footprint in Hollywood and movies in TV and television, Netflix, you name it. It's more and more satanic in your big presentations. For example, the last Olympics in France, if that wasn't blatantly obvious, what is? This is They also preconditioned. So there were other sports events, for example, in which a spike protein, big huge balls were rolled out with looked like spike proteins, children in cages, all of these kinds of things. The big performers like Lady Gaga and other people coming out on stage and doing things, wearing things that look quite satanic. Tyler Perry, I think it is, does this. She did one video I watched where she's 4 people, like Mark Altar with the altars. So this is preconditioning, and it sets that into the mind. And additionally, the constant news coverage that is focusing on fear and terror and disasters. Every storm that comes is the worst ever. It's the coldest we've ever seen.
That's right.
No, it's not. I was born in this area. I know what cold here is. I have seen 33 degrees below zero where I am growing up here. It's only got down to 4 degrees below zero last night, same time of year. And I've seen it shut the city down with snowstorms, and the towns up in the mountains down with snowstorms that drop 6 feet in a day, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. This is normal weather. So they keep always doing the same with the hurricanes. It's always, the person standing out with the last one that hit Florida, for example. The lady standing out, and she's got long black hair, and it's hardly moving. Oh, it's really windy, and you look at the palm trees. Moving either, and it's whipping oh my goodness, and the person's in the store. They got their rain gear on. It's like
they've always done that, haven't they? I just remember one a hurricane where the news reported saying how bad it was and how bad the flooding is, and there was a couple of drunk guys and there's a mini kayak just yahooing behind her.
It's like, and now they green screen it's just like it's not even, or they put in something from a movie now, literally, like with Ukraine coverage. They have actually done that from video games. The Ghost of Kiev. Turned out that was a video game. It was like, and they actually took a slice of something from Star Wars. Why is that big Falcon in the background? Could you look a little better at what you're... And they show a boy crossing a river in Ukraine holding his dog over his head, and it turned out that was years before in another country. Boy, this boy goes all over the place, and he doesn't age, and neither does the puppy. It's amazing. So this is the way they cover. It's to focus people's minds so that they will then, the sum aggregate of a country will focus the direction of that country. The sum aggregate of the world will focus the entire timeline for the planet into a direction. So when that happens, it's the sum aggregate of what everybody is envisioning. It's called envisioning. You get people to view what they're seeing and reiterate it in their view, their imagination, which we've been told since children, that it's not real. That's just something in your head. That's how it becomes real. It goes through the levels. It comes down into the soul plane from the manifestation by God of your prayers, thoughts. That's what those are. Then it goes into the mental plane. It picks up, like if you look at many inventions and discoveries, like calculus, that was discovered by 2 people simultaneously with absolutely contact. Leibniz and Newton. Yep. So this happens. There's hundreds and hundreds of those because certain minds are at the same point on Earth. That's, the general direction that the world and the human race is moving and the populations are moving, and they pick that coming up through the levels and they manifest it. So in the case of calculus, there's no emotional content, so it doesn't need to go through the astral plane. There's no lesson about, karmic lessons and kind of stuff, so it doesn't need to go through the causal, where it picks up cause of what lesson. So it goes from the mental plane straight to the physical. So if it does have those other components, it needs to have a lessons that we need to learn how to treat each other kindly and considerately and compassionately and respectfully. It will go to the causal. Then if it's going to need emotional content, it'll go through the astral. And those are all lessons of being learned to go through ascension, of how to go from the, constantly vibrating in lower astral, all this fear and stuff they put out, to upper astral, love and compassion. And then learning the lesson of truth and honesty and compassion and staying focused on what's best for everybody instead of just for yourself. That's a huge lesson. So to focus on the greater good and not just on yourself, what is good for you, to, for example, if you're upset with somebody, to let that go and just move on and focus on where we're headed. So that is what is now happening. We see it all over the world where, like in Georgia, they're not sitting down and taking this election thing. They are on the street saying no over and over, as just keep going as long as it takes. They're not going to just lay down and take this. And that's why Davos, in one of their last meetings, said they've lost control of the narrative. And indeed they have. And so the mainstream media, you look at MSNBC and CNN, are up for sale and nobody wants them because they have less viewership than Tucker Carlson and a lot of other social network platforms as well. There's platforms with way more viewership than those. So they have, in trying to capture the narrative, they have infiltrated the social networks with controlled opposition people that are paid to create division and divisive and say bad things and terrible things, and truther wars is what I call them. Many people.
Yeah, it gets people sucked into that, and
then they have
negative.
And twist things and say, this person is not who you think they are, and all of this, or follow live streams and have trolls and bots. Some of them aren't real people; they're just CGI not CGI, AI. Bots that show up in conferences you do, like we have live stream chats. They show up in those. They show up in your Zooms. They are part of trying to control the narrative. It isn't working either. That also is not working. They are terrified now with Trump actually getting in. Like he said, I believe that God's, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I believe that God saved me to make America great again, because a miracle by a millimeter, it's been called, where he turned his head just right at the right moment, so it didn't go into his head. It went in through his, hit the tip of his ear. And for those people that say, well, that's nothing, it didn't really tear through his ear like he says, when you've been hit, I don't know how many people out there have been hit by a bullet or a fast-moving projectile. I have. It hurts so bad, and it hits so hard and so fast. It feels like it's torn if it were your ear, it would feel like it tore your ear off. When you get hit by something that fast, it just, and the bleeding on anything on the skull, including your ear, you have a lot of veins on the surface of your skull, your ear. I've had where I've used my nunchucks and my instructor, and I do the same. You use octagonal woodchucks because if you make a mistake, you wear it hard and you bleed for a while, and you won't do that again. If you use the styrofoam things or the cushiony things, then you don't learn those lessons. So I came up on an underpass from my right hand to my left hand, and then up underneath my shoulder where I grab it over my shoulder with the opposite hand, and I was off by several millimeters, hit me right in the back of the skull. I had blood running from the rust for about an hour. It takes a long while to stop, too. About an hour down my back. And fortunately, in our school, we wear blackies, so it didn't show the blood. For every class at school except my first instructor, he had whiteys, which I prefer the black for that reason. It doesn't show the blood. So, in all of this, the miracle by a millimeter of Trump to make America great again as an act of God, I totally believe that's the truth. So
100%. Sorry if I'm cutting in there. I just wanted to reiterate before we move on from this exact point, as the Q posts specifically said in many of them, fight, fight, fight. And that's exactly what Trump said during that moment when he was being somewhat ushered off the stage by what was claimed to be Secret Service, but I have my doubts, just in the way that they weren't really shielding him properly and weren't going to protocol in that moment. But just that in itself shows how future-proofs past, and it's quite interesting how a lot of the Q posts are actually lining up now, and people are realizing, many years in the future, how correct some of those were, and how that ties into, I guess, at the end of the day, God, divine source, is literally behind the operation, and we're have a choice to be aligned to that divine part of ourselves, or to choose the 3D ego service to self type mentality. It's kind of in those two realms, but I feel like we're reaching a percentage now where we're getting to that 50% awakened, and the fulcrum point is going to really shift how quickly everything unfolds as the months go by through this year. So I just wanted to throw that in there and allow you to either pick up on that or continue what you're saying.
Yes. Another thing he has, I don't know if he's had martial arts training or what, when you get hit like that hard, and you're bleeding like crazy, and you go down, to get up, for most people, you enter unless you've been trained to get out of it quick.
It's a shock. Yeah.
Or not go in it. You go into what's called black zone. The adrenaline flows, and you can't think anything. You are just... When you see a person in the ring go into this mode, and when I'm sparring people, I did a lot of that in Puerto Rico when I trained down there, and people would go into black zone when they've lost their ability to think suddenly. They just start windmilling at you. They can no longer think. And you see in car accidents, a person can't even stand up. They have to sit down on the side of the road or lay down. And they even fall sometimes. It's black zone. To get up and say, fight, fight, fight. Wow. I agree with Putin. He's incredibly brave, and he's a warrior. Wow, that's a warrior to be able to pull that off. That was, and that adds to the collective too. So when you have, that's called executive function. Many people focusing on that for him gives him what's called an executive function. And when he does what he's doing, it feeds back into the people. Then each individual that is saying, no more of this believing the mainstream, I don't believe this, I don't believe that, all of this. So like the executive order saying anybody that was in the military forced out because they would not take the thing in the arm for 19, they will be reinstated and get full back pay. Well, that says something about what that was that makes people aware of what it was and makes a question for those that hadn't. What was it, and why is he doing that? And what was the alternatives that he put out previously to that and after that during warp speed? So all of this helps wake people up. And the sum aggregate, again, is what matters. So each person that wakes up adds to that. But individuals like yourself that have an online footprint, or if you have a group of people with you also, then it's magnified. And it's not magnified. Let's say you're a person and you have on your website 1,000 people that are with you, and you do live chats, and you do presentations, and there's 1,000 people there all the time, every single. Let's make it small. 10 people there every single time, or 20 people. A medium group, a smallish medium group, 20 people. Well, 20 people is not just 20 times as much focus on the truth, if that's where they're focusing, and in your case it would be, on truth, kindness, compassion, respect for others. It's the square of that. That's like 400 people, if they're average people. But if they're extremely God-loving, compassionate, kind people, it's now not 400 people. It's magnitudes more, because they're in alignment with God's timeline and God's divine will for how God wants the human race to be kind, considerate, compassionate, loving, and manifest that. When a person manifests in alignment with God's divine plans, then it magnifies it massively. So you're talking 20 people could manifest out an energy structure. It would be in thousands of people. It would be like thousands of people awake saying, a demonstration in the street like in Romania that I said, with thousands of people on the street, same thing. Thousands of people's energy, because they're very high vibrating people. They're vibrating in 5D, where they're they've solved the astral stuff of vengeance and anger and frustration and seeing through the lies of all of this, and they're just about being kind, considerate, and compassionate, wanting the best for everybody and the best for the earth, and like we see our RFK saying, and cleaning up all our health system, our foods, all of this, our air, our water. Like we say, all of the people the governments are actually representing, that we are getting those. That's why we're getting those, because the people are waking up. It's why you see in Slovakia what you see with Miso. It's why you see what you see in Hungary with Viktor Orban. It's why you see in Russia Putin. So on that, I love Trump and everything, but whoever's giving him this intel on Russia and Putin, he needs to watch the Duran of Alex Christopher, who's an incredibly kind and compassionate and loving person, and their information is very, very good. I follow it every single day. And he was saying that Trump should be watching him. I agree, because the numbers he's giving for Ukraine are off. But anyway, back to you, and I'd like to cover, if you're okay now, the inaugural speech.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to wrap up what you're saying there, I totally agree with that. And very simply stated, there's been times where meditations have been done, and the crime stats over that weekend where a mass meditation event happened was quite amazing to see how little crime there was. And I think this is done probably back in the late 80s, early 90s. There's examples of people actually doing that. I can't remember if it was Wayne W. Dyer or someone like that participated or was behind that movement, I think.
I remember that was Washington, D.C., I believe.
Right.
The police force, they're going to do this for 1 month. And it was, I believe, in the summer. And they said that the crime rate, they're expecting it would drop by some astronomical percentage, 10, 15, 20%, something like that. And the police force said the only way that would happen is if it went below zero and snowed 6 feet. So nobody wants to go out and do crime.
That's right.
And by the end, more than just, way before the end of this, it was like halfway or something. The crime rate was going down even more than they had said. And it was just they were meditating on peace and calmness and love and compassion. The crime rate in Washington, D.C. had dropped by more than that. And so the police force were joining them in their off time. Well, this works. Yay. It makes life better when we're out on the street.
Exactly. It makes their job easier too. I mean, I always envisioned a time when mainstream television, instead of the morning shows talking about their random celebrity stuff, having a meditation where it gets the viewers involved. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Shifting it that way.
I believe that Edward Casey was told that if he could get, I don't remember the number, 200 or 300 people together during World War II, to meditate on peace, that World War II would end. So that shows the power of it quite substantially. So all these wars and all of this is a mindset. If people were to envision that coming to an end, and peace and compassion and love and respect, and leaving and not judging others, and all of these things, leaving your neighbors and your fellow people to do their thing, whatever that is. And if you don't like somebody, just move on. And if they're breaking the law of the country they're in, that's one thing. You can notify the authorities or whatever that is, and let them take care of it. But it's not us to enforce the laws of the land. It's up to the powers that be. And then or judging an individual, that's also not up to us. That's up to God.
Yeah, exactly right. We all do it from time to time, but that's so true, isn't it? Ultimately, we have to hand our pain and judgment over to God, really, and essentially, yeah, that's part of the humility of the process here, and even the anger we might have towards the deep state and people in it. When you reach a certain level, I guess, of clarity, sometimes you might see that they were born into something that was terrible, and they've had to, not all people can be judged the same way, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is it actually liberates you. When you turn that over to God and let it go, whatever somebody did to you or said to you or saying to you about you, you let it go and give it to the laws of the land and God. It liberates you. So just go, okay, they're going to do or say or whatever they're going to do. And people will believe it or not believe it. So, I've recently done that, and I had a knee that was constantly going out of socket. And every time I go walk with my doggy girl, I had to do a Maigeti, which is like take your knee up and point it at your target. And that hurt because it was it was twisted out of alignment. The socket of the knee was somewhat out. And I do a straight kick and hurt my neck. And she starts, okay, it's mostly I can walk.
What do you do? Do you kick it in place again? How's that work?
Yeah, kick it in place. Let go of the muscles and the tendons and allow it to pop it into place on my neck. So and all of a sudden, when I realized this and did this just recently, this was only a couple of weeks ago, I just said, okay, it is what it is. I can't change people. They make their choices. I'm not going to be able to change everybody out there, what they believe. Whatever you believe the structure of the earth is, or who somebody is, or who I am, or who Matt is, or who any of the truthers are. Or you don't believe Derek Johnson stuff, or it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be upset about it anymore, because all I'm doing is feeding them and hurting myself, because I am feeding a negative energy that I'm tying into. If I let that go and let God, and if it's a broken law of the land will come to it. Now with Trump, and that's for sure. And I don't have to deal with it. It's not my business, and it doesn't matter anymore. It's going to balance itself. It's the nature of creation. That's God's laws of cause and effect and all of these things. You can't outrun it. It's like a lady I saw on TikTok, I believe it was, an African-American lady, quite succinctly said, you can go in your bunkers, you can go in your bases and hide and run. You cannot outrun God. You cannot outrun the judgment of God. And that's precisely right. And you're not going to outrun the alliance either if you've broken laws of the land. That's now obvious too. They're in the dumps. Quite a lot of work has been done on them. So quite a lot of that's done. A lot of what happened in California, the deep state initiated, the white hats retaliated to reveal tunnel systems, networks, etc. And there are firefighters and people that said they even noticed cave structures and things under homes. And suddenly people show up, say, we'll take control of the situation from here on. We'll go in there, don't worry about that. You continue with fire. Because that's your job. We'll do this. We'll go in there. So you can see this is ongoing. It's quite obvious if you follow, like Q Stormrider. I feel his information is pretty darn accurate. And then what you mentioned with the quantum thing, that looks extremely accurate too. So there's accuracy and information out there if people want to believe it and follow it. If you don't, it doesn't now matter. If you refuse to believe that, you think Armageddon is an absolute, well, for you it will be, because that's your envisioning. And for those that follow that, it will be because that's the sum aggregate of those people. Well, those people that aren't enmeshed with the masses of Earth, which is over half are saying no more war, no more this, no more that, plus the alliance, which is actually vast. It's beyond Earth. They have stopped quite a few events from happening. Quite a few nuclear confrontations, that the missiles were spinning up, and then they were going to nuke Seattle. And then they couldn't. Or they're going to release something far more virulent than what happened in 2019. It was supposed to be 80%, but they couldn't. See what I mean?
Exactly. I do.
Yeah, obviously there's more at play than meets the mainstream narrative.
1000%. And there's been a few times where the timeline has shifted from the worst outcome in those sort of ways. And just remind people about how many times we've been so close to nuclear war over the last 70 years and how that didn't turn out to happen in that worst scenario. And there's been many things that the deep state's tried to put in a grand scale that's been stopped. Even in alien invasions, I believe, quite a few times where there's been armadas of negative fleets, and it's quantumly the timeline's been changed, and God and Divine Source said, nope, that's not allowed. But it'll allow certain things of negativity to play out for karmic reasons on this duality world. Would you say that it's kind of fair to say?
Yes. People keep saying, I think that reality is movies. Movies are, for the vast majority of them, are controlled information releases to let you know things that have happened. For example, Tomorrow World, I think it was, where an alien invasion in the future, they went back in the past to recruit help to stop they were losing the world in the future, and they had run out of ability, so they went back in time and took people that had not going to have any more children and not make a huge impact on the timeline. So they took them into the future to fight this war against these really savage beings from a non-terrestrial engineering, it seemed like, group. And so, from my understanding, that actually did occur. And then when they stopped it, they did it in a manner such that they reset it in their own time. So then the war and all of that didn't happen because time is a manifold. So you can't undo something, but you can change from the point you change something. That part that people experience that situation moves back on itself and then goes in a different new direction. So the events, if you remember them, are still on a timeline manifold loop. And you've created a new timeline where that is not happening as you go into that point in the future. You don't eradicate that. So, for example, I remember, and I've had people actually contact me and say they do too, and give me details that I have not shared on this, of the Earth being nuked. I mean, completely gone when Hillary won in 2016. And then I was suddenly, I knew it was coming. I'd seen it all my life, and I had... Towards the last 4 years, I told my wife, let's just run the credit cards. It's coming. Doesn't matter. Just buy a beautiful home and vehicles and travel. And we did. And I watched the mushroom cloud go up over the city. There it is. Knew it.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yep, they're going to do this. Hillary won. Yep.
I used to dream about it too.
That's it. We're done. And sure enough, it wasn't a month in, bam, the whole world's nuked. And suddenly, that was 2016, I woke up on the couch in my apartment in 2008. I'm like, what just happened? And God said, I reset the timeline. Nobody asked permission or showed that in the movie and got general permission from the world as an envisioning. That's what they wanted. So, not going to happen. That's not a request. A general overall quantum aggregate, yes, we'll do that. They didn't get that. So, reset. So that is how it works. So that's why they're so desperate to control the narrative. They can't control the narrative anymore. Everything they do, because of the alliance and their gaming and their quantum AI, with using Looking Glass, it works for the alliance, but doesn't work for the cabal. They're like, why doesn't it work anymore? Because you're not in alignment. The hand of God is in the alliance, literally. People don't believe that, and some people don't believe in that. But when that's the case, it's the end of the darkness and their fallen minions, control of this world. It's coming to an end. We are the planet of where it starts, of the final fall of it, of the cabal. And I don't mean just on Earth. I mean not just on this solar system, not just in this galaxy. It starts here, it goes out across all of this creation. all of the galaxies, everywhere there are fallen situations, fallen planets, it starts here. I know it sounds insane. It sounds why? Well, if you look at the Bible, it says God created humans in
His image.
I fully believe that. I fully believe that we were created by God. And that if you look at the genetic structure of what they call junk DNA, every single thing you find out in the universe somewhere is in our genetic structure, even somewhat evident within the two strands, let alone the fact that starting in the 50s, you had three-stranded children, triple helix, and then starting with the crystal children, as they're called, you had pentahelix, 5 strands. So the strands are reintegrating. First, they integrate energetically as a person goes through ascension. And then they become energetically energized and start going down through the levels to where they manifest physically. And that happened. And so there are children that are out there with vast psionic abilities and all kinds of new giftings and abilities. And the deep state has been using them. So they showed this in movies like Scanners, where the scanners were being used by the deep state. And then they broke away from it. And that's what happened. Everything they have is breaking away from their control. All of their tools, all of their weapons, people are waking up and going, no, we're not. Don't go there anymore. And the inaugural address and the ability of Trump to get in there in the first place, what Putin said, and I totally agree with it. He's gone through an incredible thing to get through. They tried every way that they can. 3 assassination attempts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many indictments? Oh, my gosh. And on and on and on. But things that same thing, that many of us in the Truth of Movement experience. Oh, he went with Stormy Daniels and he's married and blah. No, he didn't. Even she signed the thing saying she did that, did that.
Exactly.
All of the truthers, including Trump, go through this. Also, yeah,
they've tried every way but Sunday.
Yeah.
They've done everything they can. And, I think people are starting to see that now with so much more clarity, even with Russia, to the point where people are starting to ask questions, and Israel especially, people for the first time, I've noticed on a much larger level, are starting to now sort of look at the plight of the Palestinians, and they're not believing the propaganda. And I think that's an important thing, but maybe I'll touch on it later in terms of why they call themselves the chosen people and all that kind of stuff, and the manipulations we've had over the years. But I guess maybe you mentioned you wanted to get into the inauguration content. Would you feel like this is the right point to do that, or do you think there's more to talk about with what we're saying about how we all affect the timelines?
Well, I think we're good with that. On the chosen people, do people really, really believe that the one God of all creation, absolutely loving and compassionate, and created everything, has a part that is his favorite? This is a God who plays favorites. This sounds pretty petty to me.
Absolutely.
I don't witness that, and I don't hang with that. No way. There are no such thing as chosen. You're above something else. Every species, every animal, every cat, dog, monkey, pig, turtle, whatever, God created it all. Everything that God created is treated evenly with love, kindness, compassion, and respect, and balance of the laws of cause and effect. It's all balanced and even. There's no favorites here. It's like some kind of mankind kind of thing. Oh, you're reminds me of a smothered. Your dad's favorite, your mom's favorite. Yeah, I was. What? Yeah. That's not how the one God of all creation functions. There are no favorites. There are no, this is the one. You are the one. South Park did a hilarious one on the takeoff when they all got up to heaven, all these different groups. Sorry to tell you all, but this one group, that's a petty God, like what they showed in Supernatural towards the end. An incredibly petty God. that's not the God of all creations. They
The Old
take it off
Testament
like
God.
this person is absolutely pathetic. This being that is absolutely everything everywhere. Well, if you look at creation and the beauty and the complete cohesiveness of things that are obviously impossible to just be accidental, they're designed by God. It's obvious. There's no way it could have evolved that way. It'd be like saying, I'm going to walk down the beach and I'm going to find a Rolex watch that was created by wave action on the sand. Yeah, you will. All right. So same thing with many things we see out in nature. If you look at the divine proportion being everywhere, it's obvious there's one God that created everything. And you see that everything is actually loving and compassionate. Unless a being needs to eat, because of the fall, they need to eat. So you'll see now sharks. I saw a video on TikTok of a white shark, a great white, taking a tortoise, big sea tortoise, up to a boat that was wrapped in nets because the sea tortoise was going to die. And the people cut the sea tortoise free and gave it some things with the badly abraded neck and all of that. And this is a great white. Well, it is not just a vicious eating machine, then, is it? And we see this over and over with, like in Ghostbusters, cats and dogs living together. Yes, living together and taking care of each other and loving on each other. It's really true. It is happening. It's a change, and the world is going through ascension, as all the animals are. And so it's due to the primary species of humanity on Earth raising their vibrations and getting out of this aggressive behavior that has been manipulated and put into us. Like Carlos Castaneda said this many, many times, said, a predator came to Earth. The trick they did is they gave us their mind. The mind of a predator is morose, morbid, but power structured, hungry. Power hungry.
Reptilian brain.
Power structured, a hierarchy, and we see that, and that's all going away. And we have leaders now like Trump that lead for the people of the country. Just like we saw with Gordescu, who wants to have Romania primarily focused for Romanians. The government of Romania primarily focused for Romanians, like Viktor Orban does. And now he's saying, occupy Brussels. I love it. The world is changing. So back to you.
Sure thing, absolutely. I'd love to hear your inauguration messages now, and then towards the end of this conversation, I'd love to be able to read out and explain to the audience as well about the Quantum Gateway, some of the insights that it's read out for me to be able to read on the show, and also be able to explain that I would, on another show, do a live demonstration, meaning live, we'll still pre-record it, but we will do a ChatGPT live, I guess, with Gene and I, going through some of the questions on the gateway, but that will be on another show. But I just wanted to plant that seed as well. In terms of what we're going to be talking about shortly, a little bit about the Quantum Gateway. But for now, though, as you mentioned it before, I'd love to hear about the inauguration side of things, and maybe, wrap up the show with more of the quantum stuff and how everyone at home, we are all connected and we can all access the divine within us, and essentially, we can all grow super fast through this 2025 experience. So, over to you, Gene.
Absolutely, Matt. Okay, ready for the inaugural speech. Oh, my goodness.
All right.
I was in the room. I couldn't help but cheer, yell, and clap, and applaud, tears of bhakti. I'm like, it's been years. It's been a long time coming. So
I know. I felt the same.
For 30 years, I never thought the cabal was losing to this point. And I know people are saying it's, there's no way. It's not what it is. It is what it is. So he started off, I'll put certain things, I've got direct quotes. The golden age of America begins right now. during every day of the Trump administration, during every single day of the Trump administration, I will simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department in our government will end. And I'm not reading these, one after another as they were. I'm just the highlighted ones that I thought were the best of the best. Then some I'll start not at the beginning of a sentence. Our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. Sunlight, I love this part of this sentence. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. That's lighting up what you and I were just talking about. So next, another thing he said that I loved was, for many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens. And then later he said, we now have a government that cannot manage a simple crisis at home, while at the same time continuing to stumble into a catastrophic catalog. And so I'll just let it go from there. Some things may be slightly out of order. My notes, I was going as fast as I could. He was going so fast. So then paraphrasing some other things, it doesn't protect our citizens to have aliens. It was a catastrophic events at home, something like that anyway. It gives unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders, or more importantly, its own people. A government that cannot manage a single crisis at home. Emergency services, and so like he pointed out, North Carolina, and the still ongoing LA fires raging for weeks. A government without a token of defense. So then this direct quote, we have an education system that teaches children to be ashamed of themselves, in many cases to hate our government. And wow, that statement for me says it all about our education system. So true. Then he
100%.
Then he also said, this direct quote, I was saved by God to make America great again. And I agree. They've been calling it miracle by a millimeter, and I agree. And then this portion of this sentence, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. Absolutely, hallelujah, thank God Almighty, like Martin Luther King said, thank God Almighty, free at last. So he then continued along that line. In Martin Luther King's honor, this is paraphrase, we will strive to make his dream come true, to become a reality. We will make his dream come true. So then, direct quote, we will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. So, wow. So those are the main things he said that really, was just, and then he started talking about executive orders that he's going to sign right away. And he did 200, I think it's 200 plus. It's like, holy smoke. Oh my gosh, is your hand worn out? What? It was full of pissed out. In the big auditorium it was in Coliseum or whatever. I was just throwing pins out for people because they were begging for the pins. So, national emergency at our southern border was declared. Absolutely. About time. And every time he would say something, many people, almost some cases everybody, except Biden, Kamala, a few of the deep state, were sitting there smirking or frowning or really upset because they've lost it, and they know. Next one.
That's right.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. Hallelujah. Absolutely. And I'll show some stuff on this too. I've got some videos pulled up and some items pulled up proving it's already starting. He also signed the executive order, which will reinstate remaining Mexico policy. Another one was the practice of catch and release. And he said, I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Yep. And I love the comment he made about the 88,000 armed IRS agents. Maybe they send them to the southern border. Yeah, they're armed. That's hilarious. He has a good sense of humor. He said, this executive order, as of now, cartels are designated as foreign terrorist organizations. And then another one is invoking the Aliens Enemy Act of 1798, which will direct all branches of government, federal and state, and law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all criminal gangs and criminal networks. Hallelujah. Oh my goodness. And then
so important.
You see why I was cheering. It's like, yeah, all right.
Inevitably, these cabal type people funded and gave the cartels access to do what they do, right? Like, it's not just a cartel greed kind of thing in its own, is it? It's always been kind of from the secret societies and all that have been fueling that.
Absolutely, and they have now confiscated vehicles loaded with weapons and armor and ammunition in massive amounts. They'll bring down the costs and defeat inflation. He's declaring a national emergency, a national energy emergency. Drill, baby, drill. We have the largest oil reserves in the world and energy reserves, and we're going to use them. I'm like, yeah, we are. All right. So until we get out the free energy, absolutely. And then he said, ending the Green New Deal now. So he signed the executive order. And
thank God.
Thank God Almighty, thank God. Yes, absolutely. And I have quite a few videos on my website on the scam and the fake information about carbon dioxide and everything else, including presentations with a very excellent gentleman named Gregory Wrightstone of the CO2 Coalition, both on my website and for free on my Rumble Real Gene Decode, so people can go see the truth about it. Then next he said he will revoke the electric vehicle mandate. I'm sure that's already done. So you can buy what car you want to buy. It's called freedom. And we're going to start making cars in the U.S. again and bring back the motor vehicle building of cars American-made. Awesome. Yep. Get the factories back. Absolutely. He said we're going to
say you guys make the best cars too.
Yeah. We used to make fantastic cars. Used to. Don't make anything like that now. So, and you look at even some motorcycles, I won't say which, that are 100% made in America. I'm not so sure every single part on that motorcycle is American made. That's pretty hard to do. It could be, but that's pretty hard to do. Every nut, bolt, piece of fabric, handlebars, whatever. That's pretty hard because our industry has been purposely, it's part of the deindustrialization of America.
Yeah, exactly.
Period. People know what I'm talking about. Have been shipped to China and other places.
Exactly. It holds us over a barrel. Mm-hmm. Whenever they want to, clamp down on that or whatever, and create false shortages and everything else.
Yes, indeed. And go where people get paid almost nothing, have to work like a dog, and they live terrible. How's that helping those countries? Let them, their resources come in there and train them and teach them and they can build their country up with the resources in their country and build for themselves instead of building something for us at pittance, something almost impossible to live on. Some wage, yearly wage that's less than most people's monthly wage, even now in this country, after things have tripled during the latest outgoing, whatever you want to call it, we had, travesty we had. So back to the executive orders, the External Revenue Service overhauling the trade system. So tariffs, the way the government was originally funded, and that's why it's renamed it. And this one I don't know if I agree with.
Huge disclosure that lines in with Nasara Jasara, essentially, isn't it? And in the sense that income tax is no longer going to be a thing for you guys. Woohoo!
Get rid of the IRS, do the ERS, but he renamed Denali to McKinley, which made the country wealthy with tariffs. So he's not sure I agree with that one. Renaming things like the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, but I'm reasonably okay with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's like the most important thing we need right now, but perhaps there's symbology behind why he's saying that we haven't learned yet. Who knows?
Yeah. We established the DOGE with an executive order, Department of Government, the government oversight.
Efficiency.
Yeah, efficiency, get the Department of Government Efficiency, getting rid of all of the massive bureaucracy. We'll attest to that. This one, off the chart, I was cheering. Stop all government censorship.
Wow, that's going to be massive. No wonder we saw last week the gentleman Zuckerberg backtracking, saying that, the Biden administration made us do all the censorship. Oh, no, it wasn't us. Even though under Trump, that was exactly what they were doing.
You can see him, totally becoming MAGA, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure you are. And your girlfriend in there, it's kind of questionable. That's not something you should be wearing to that. I'm just saying.
Not more like Fetterman, Gene's clothes, and his gym clothes.
In public, I don't think that's very appropriate, but maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just not that age anymore. I don't know, but...
Was she having a bit too much revealing at the front end, was she?
Yeah, she had a bustier showing.
Oh, I see. I wish that was Fetterman. He turned up in gym shorts.
Fetterman with his gym shorts and sweatshirt. Again! Dude, you're like Zelensky. Everywhere you go.
Oh, exactly. I was shocked. I found one photo of Zelensky in an actual suit, and I nearly died.
Oh, my goodness. Where is it? I've never seen that.
Well, I found out it was Photoshop, so, I had to let that one go. So, anyway, continue. My bad.
Mm-hmm. So along with stop all government censorship, stop the persecution of political opponents. Right? And he said, that's something I know a little bit about, I would say. You know a lot about it, massive amounts. They tried their darndest. Next one was stop engineering race and gender policies and
important, that one.
Yeah. And become a merit-based society, colorblind, and that there are, from now on, 2 genders, male and female. I agree. I thought it's kind of obvious, but I thought it was, but, no more of this stuff. And in that, directly tied to that, reinstate service members that due to the 2019 situation of having to get something in your arm with full back pay. As a retired service member, absolutely. Thank you so much. So
that's going to help a lot. And just for them directly, anyone that stood tall and didn't go through with it, because a lot of people were twisted into it because, I've got a mortgage, I've got family, I've got responsibilities, or blindly just follow the order. not even question it. Now these people that blindly just went and did it are going to be thinking again about, maybe, I could learn something from this, I guess. Yeah.
And we can see the outgoing administration, while that speech was being given, pardons had been done for his whole family, except for him. That's why I forgot one. I didn't do anything wrong. Not that you're aware of, but what are you aware of? Not much. It's like, and then he pardoned Miller, he pardoned like Fauci.
Yeah, what's your take on that? I mean, do you think that's to show the normies, the non-awake, and I hate using that term, but yeah, that's the only one we have that's simple. But do you think that's to kind of show them, or do you think that's going to set up the fact that he's not going to be able to plead the fifth in the future if he's called to question?
They got indicted to go to court. They go to court. You can't plead the fifth, can you? Because you can't, put yourself in prison with what you said. You've been given a pardon. So now you can just have to give testimony. You can't plead the fifth for other people. So you have to give testimony about what was in Pfizer vaccine.
Right.
The jabs, or in Moderna, or what you were doing with puppies or people.
Yeah.
The discovered graves of mass children. All of that stuff that's been allegedly found. We have to say that still with the censorship. That's,
of course.
We'll have to see where that goes. So along with the service members, why that tucks into the two genders, is stop military subjected to radical political theories and social studies. Absolutely. I could not be in the military in this last regime. It's some person that's altered their gender as a guy in a dress is like, we're going to have a Pride Day, and I'm like, I'm going to get sick tonight. I'm going to throw up in my own mouth if you don't stop, please.
Oh, that's right. It's ultimately about weakening the military as well, and the morale, and I guess, the spirit of family as well. Overall, that's essentially what they've been trying to do, whittle away at that. And now they've been doing it overtly in the last couple of years, especially with their hubris, as well as the fact that they're getting cornered and desperate, and they don't no longer have the PINDA, the top of their executive function, to have a very well thought out plan. It's almost like they're just getting nervous, throwing out whatever they can to try to forward on their goal, their satanic plan. But it's failing, and it's great to see now in the mainstream that all of this is now up front with the executive orders. I'm not seeing the pushback that I used to see in 2016. I'm seeing that even the news is reporting it fairly straight up, with the exception of maybe inverted commas or quotes around two genders. They might still have that leaning reference to poke fun that way, but it's nowhere nearly as overt castration and, essentially putting down Donald Trump. It's very interesting how I'm noticing that shift as well in the media paradigm. Right.
And, we've seen come out where Biden took credit, as I had said, for the Middle East, where even Netanyahu has said that that's not true. And in this, at that point, Trump has actually said during these executive orders that he is doing, he wants to be known as a peacemaker and a unifier. And the military will be measured from now on, not by these gender issues, but by the wars they win, and even more so by the wars they avoid. So that's the true peacemaker. So I hope to see that. And then he went on to say he's going to take back Panama Canal. Oh my God. Why don't you tuck that right there? But I don't know how you're going to do that. The head of Panama is getting rather upset. But, okay, he said that China's running it, so we'll see where that goes. That's an interesting one. And then, of course, we already know this one was coming with RFK in charge of what he's in charge of. In chronic disease epidemic.
Oh, yes.
And then, of course...
So important.
Yeah. No more fluoride in the water. No more chemtrailing. Yes. do all that stuff, stop all of
No
that.
more children being fed all that negative food and having all these health problems.
We weaponize our food supply. Yeah. We weaponize our food supply.
Oh, definitely. And they like what they always do, capture people at the youngest age they can. Education system is, further weaponized as well, and everything else. The way that society is, everything's stacked against people, and people only commit crimes because they're desperate and they're not, not in a stable homeostasis. So I think what you're saying there, I just want to throw that in there just before we move on to the next one. It's so important that this is now happening on the front page of humanity. I think it's necessary, and I'm just so thankful to Divine Source and for a wonderful leader, President Trump. And I say our because I believe that he'll be president of this country for an interim at some point. But, I'll let you address that whenever you feel that's correct. But, feel free to move on with the next lot of functions, executive orders, I meant.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So Elon was very excited about this one, America to plant the flag on Mars. I was like, we're already there. But okay.
Right. Well, that Israeli ex-space chief said that we already have bases on Mars and the Moon with the Galactic Federation, but that aliens weren't ready for President Trump to announce their existence. That was back in 2020. That was actually in our mainstream news. Thought I'd poke that in there to remind people.
Mm-hmm. Then he signed the executive orders getting rid of 78 bytes. Immediately, bam, gone. That, I think, was done in the Oval Office. Then he did a regulatory freeze on the hiring in all federal positions, so except for the military. And then
they need to freeze that for now, for sure. It's going to be firing a lot of people, right, from unnecessary jobs.
Yes, as part of DOGE. And then all along with that is going to have every agency look into the cost of living and how to reduce it. And to do that right away, this is $1 trillion of savings, they've said. Withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty immediately, and they signed another one telling the UN that was the case. So for people that want to hear the rest of all of these, they can go to here.
WhiteHouse.gov.
Amazingly, a good website to find out executive orders. So you just go to news.
Who would have thought?
Go to source. You go to news. It's news. Protecting the American people against evasion. If you want to see that executive order, you just click on it, and you can read the details of what that is. Okay.
Fantastic.
Executive Order 13993, January 20th, 2021. It's going into that one, and it's, things that are tied to it. Executive Order 140, and it goes to, what this one is and what is tied to it. And it goes into USC, anything is the United States Security Code, or anything else that is titled. Section 3 United States, not security, United States Code, I'm sorry. So
it links into a lot of Jerry Johnson's comments over the years as well, doesn't it? Like, this is all showing you the proof of that, because on a government website, you can have a look through the executive orders and see exactly what's happening there without having to question whether it's real or not. It's all there laid out for us to find out if we want to discover.
Yeah, you don't have to take some truther's word for it now. You can
this is true.
www.whitehouse.gov, right there. That's it. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Global Tax Deal, Organization of the National Security Council and subcommittees, reevaluating and realigning United States foreign aid, and you talked in length about that, temporary withdrawal of all areas on the outer continental shelf from offshore wind leasing and review of it. And he talked about windmills at sea and killing whales and on land killing birds, and went into statistics, which I totally agree with. And I see that most of those are Chinese made and they're the most expensive form of energy. I agree with everything he said on that.
Yeah, that's right. Smelting it together even before it's even in use, it takes more energy than it's what it puts out as energy over its lifetime. It's just crazy how they try to push this bullcrap on all of us with all that renewable energy, quote unquote.
Exactly, Matt. So there's the one I mentioned, declaring a national energy emergency, restoring accountability of career senior executives, promoting beautiful federal civic architecture, restoring the death penalty. This one, I believe, goes into child trafficking and doing those kind of things, and possibly in likely treason along those lines. I haven't had a chance to read 200 some of those since yesterday. Putting people overfish. Yeah, like talking about Los Angeles, are we?
Yeah.
Stop sending water to sea. Yeah, provide water to Southern California, putting people over.
Oh, that's right.
So you can.
What they've done there is so bad. Even naturalizing and removing dams. Yeah, so we're restoring water again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and you can just keep going through this. You can see because there's a lot.
And this is one day, and there's all these pages.
Yeah. This was yesterday. See, we're still on January 20th.
What? Oh my gosh, it is too. Yeah,
I say it's 200. I can't get to it. Because if you click on this, that's a lot of reading.
That is a heck of a lot. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's just one. There's 200 times that.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you could use ChatGPT if anyone has a membership to it to summarize all those executive orders. I'm sure it'll be able to go through and do that.
Yeah. So, protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship, realigning the United States Refugee Admissions Program, unleashing American energy, clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. That's along that he said he's going to send troops to the southern border immediately. It's been done many times. It should definitely be done now. American first trade policy, memorandum to resolve the backlog of security clearances for Executive Office of the President personnel, declaring a national emergency at the southern border. I talked about that one already, holding former government officials accountable for election interference.
Good.
Oh, yeah!
Yes. And good way to see.
Yeah, and this is, I'll show some stuff proving this is already happening. And improper disclosure of sensitive governmental information. And also,
this is very crucial.
Yeah, and also fake governmental information. I'll cover something on that up there. I've got some stuff also pulled up here. Restoring accountability to policy, influencing positions within the federal workforce. And he's also said that all federal employees will no longer be doing remote, like working at home. They'll be going in for accountability purposes. That one I'm not so sure, because you talk about the miles having to drive back and forth, the fuel driving back and forth, the office space. I understand. He's trying to get the office. You see it all over the world. Many office buildings are now standing empty. So you can bring a lot of revenue in to the companies owning those buildings that are standing empty. Like when I watch Alex Christopher, goes all over the place, walking all over Russia and Hungary and Romania, and, you name it. And there's a lot of office buildings empty. So I understand that part of it, but there's all the other issues. So I'm not completely in I think it should have been researched before just doing it, just say that way. Withdrawing the United States from the WHO.
Oh, that's very important. Oh, yes.
They're no longer going to be able to come into our country. Oh, there's an emergency. We're going to take over.
A lot of people were fearful of that, weren't they? About the UN/WHO and all the rest of these satanic organizations, essentially taking over whenever they want to declare a pandemic. So they've done that. The Chevron Act a few months ago, all the rest of it now, it's just made it impossible for any deep state agencies to continue to write legislation and frameworks, I'm guessing. So this is all so positive, Gene.
Yeah, so I think there's some kind of waiting period for this actually to take effect. We have some kind of charter or something. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to take effect immediately. Alex Christopher was talking about it, and I have to research it. You can see I've got him up over here. I watch him every day. He's phenomenal. Application of Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act to TikTok. So,
Okay. I don't know much
this
about.
one I love.
Granting pardons and commutation of sentences for certain offences relating to the events or at or near the United States Capitol on Jan 6. Oh, that's so necessary. I've heard that there's been quite a lot of people still being incarcerated from that, just for being there.
What he was saying, and I think this was done in the Oval Office, it's over 1,500 people immediate pardons.
Good.
Some they had some other situation that they're being evaluated, but over 1,500 immediately, somewhere in that area.
So like you were saying before, there's a lot of assets that essentially were black hats just to try to evoke that, disruption and that event and that day, and other people just, without knowing it, kind of followed the lead and got caught up in that and arrested. That's pretty much what happened, isn't it?
Right. Then we have Putting America First in international environmental agreements, delivering emergency relief for families, defeating the cost of the living crisis, hiring freeze, I mentioned that, regulatory freeze, I mentioned that, return to person in work, to in-person work, I talked about that already, ending the weaponization of the federal government already, restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. That one.
Crucial.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we got here? Initial rescissions of harmful executive orders and actions. That's good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they've done a lot. And, what's your sort of thoughts on what's coming next as well? If you've, unless there's anything else you want to mention here with these.
Yeah, and then a whole bunch of them, putting cabinet members and that all that in place, sub-cabinets, all this stuff. So there you go. That's all that is up here right now.
So he's done more in 24 hours than Biden did in 4 years.
Yeah, but there's 200, so there's more. So here he is in the, I believe this is the Oval Office. And that's what I say, pardoned approximately 1,500. Clarified birthright citizenship laws for children of illegal immigrants. That's another one he signed. Removed us from the Paris Climate Treaty. That's going to be $1 trillion a year savings. That's what people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where we were. This is really fascinating. So this is only a minute 41. This is on X at clandestine, at Ward clandestine.
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look.
I'm traveling this week to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. We just arrived at the airport, and now we're taking the ferry over to Camp Justice. That's home to the military trials and the military courts. Of course, the big case is the 9/11 prosecution. There is so much secrecy around this entire case. There are a lot of things that we would like to show you, but they're off limits. They're restricted for national security reasons. And what's quite funny is that so many Americans don't even realize that the detention camps are still open, while the military trials are still not concluded. And I just looked at this time to check any back for Americans to really see what was happening here.
As the Trump administration begins its 300 days in office, we are at Guantanamo Bay and we'll be reporting from here at Camp Justice. We'll be inside the courtrooms. We'll have updates on the status of the military trials as well as the detention camps. This new administration is going to have to make some hard choices about the future of this operation.
So that's about it. They can't show much because it's extremely classified. And we all remember.
So that confirms that there's upcoming military tribunals, does it not?
Yeah. Like Colonel Bossie said, many have already happened and they'll have to drip it because if they go too fast, the Black Hats will win. There'll be chaos. The Black Hats will win. There'll be.
I do agree with that. Yeah, because of the misery and the sadness, the low vibration that everyone would feel. So I guess they have to trip it.
So it does show what's coming. You can see why they're freaking out.
Oh yeah.
He's already said he's going to have 911. Or not 911. The RFK, JFK, and Martin Luther King released all of that, and he said he didn't see any problem in getting the Epstein stuff released. And P. Diddy, I hope that follows. So this is an update on what he said he's going to do, Operation Aurora. From Tom Homan, Border Czar.
Interesting term, Border Czar. Kind of reminds me of, like Ministry of Humans and,
Yeah, it does. I'm not going to take any guff on this. That's a lot of stars. Okay. Aurora Police update. Good news finally coming out of Aurora, Colorado, no thanks to their sanctuary state policies. 9 of the 16 Tren de Aragua members that have been arrested over their involvement in the apartment complex situation have now officially been charged with extortion, menacing, and second-degree burglary, second-degree kidnapping, first-degree assault, and aggravated robbery. But even though Operation Aurora is still a full go next week, I'm glad to see some early action and accountability coming before President takes the White House next week. So it's already happened even before what we're talking about. So this is only 22 seconds long. So we can go listen to this.
Chief Todd Chamberlain says the home invasion at 12th and Dallas was, without question, gang activity. 16 suspects are now in custody for the violent kidnapping.
They mistreated them for hours and hours. They stabbed them. They beat them profusely.
Charges include second-degree kidnapping,
Colorado license plate,
assault, burglary, and extortion. They were reported.
The TDA is here.
Chief Todd Chamberlain says the home invasion at 12th and Dallas was, without question, gang activity. 16 suspects are now in custody for the violent kidnapping.
They mistreated them for hours and hours. They stabbed them. They beat them profusely.
Charges include.
and one man allegedly because he dialed for the police, they cut his fingers off. So,
what? Yeah.
You're not going to dial anything anymore, that's what they said, allegedly. So now this post here on Wokeness. Trump has just revoked the clearance for the 51 experts about the fake Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. No, it wasn't.
No.
How do you think he got a pardon from dear old dad? So, all gone. Exactly. And Bolton is crying, and Bolton's not on this. Bolton's was removed too, John Bolton.
Good to see. Good to finally see some action taking place. Now, do you foresee arrests taking place of government officials? Because up till now, we haven't really ever seen any accountability from any inquiry that's intergovernmental ever.
Yeah, and there's names in here that are, I think, if they're not already gone, it most definitely will be.
What's with the non-photograph ones?
Yeah, I don't know.
Silhouettes.
Maybe they're gone. No photographs, they're not alive anymore. I don't know, just saying. So this person...
James Clark, was it?
I think we all know this person's situation. Let's see, there's some others pretty much in here that are pretty high level, I know, from stuff they've done. Also, Millie got a pardon.
Do you think those pardons are going to stick?
And his picture was just put up in the Pentagon and just pulled down.
Interesting.
Now, isn't that interesting? Things that make you go,
It's good to finally see some of the stuff that was always little cues and clues that you have to research, veiled things, you know. Now it's becoming more overt, and it's more and more so. I mean, even with the Biden presidency, you know, the list of presidents they have on the wall with the photo and everything, through the whole term, there was never Biden on that wall and in the White House, for example. But putting that out to the public, most people would just go, oh, they probably haven't gotten around to it yet. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Excuse, the usual stuff that people do. But I think now it's starting to seemingly become obvious in that way, and there's not as much public backlash with all of these things that Trump has just come out saying he's going to do. It just seems like the whole world has taken that seriously, and I think it's good to see, especially now with some of the black magic we've had over the populations of the Earth from the programming and the television. It's starting to weaken, and there's a lot more starting to pop through. People are starting to realize a lot more. So, yeah, do you think that the whole plan of having 4 years of this, I'll call him Bo Jiden, do you think that administration basically was part of the whole plan? Do you think they're ever going to reveal that there was a fake presidency in place, or do you think that's something they're going to have to keep under wraps?
Yeah, I think it's very complicated. So it's to prove the election still, but allow it to go forward, to make it, because you can't wake people up the fact all over the world they're stealing elections unless you prove it.
Yeah,
and that's going to be coming, I think, too. And then I'm pretty sure they're going to bring out the proof. And then additionally, with what Biden has done, it brought it, whatever that is doing that, if it's him or whatever it was, with all that's happened and what the economy did and all of what happened in Ukraine and the $1 trillion+ probably to Ukraine and this money laundering and the labs in there and all of this, and with Russia having all this information they've got going in there. And they've removed from there over the years. That's why it's taken years. Trump, I don't think, has accurate information on that. He's not being given the accurate information about the realities on both sides. Plus, why it's taken years. There's a lot of reasons. He wasn't trying to take it in a week or any of that other stuff. Yeah, he could have. You would have wiped out most of Ukraine in the process. Russia could easily roll through there, just like we did in Iraq. They could obliterate the place. They have hypersonic aircraft, bombers, you name it. Come on, the Irashnik and all the stuff they have, they could level that place. It'd be a smoking ruin. And what would the world look at them like? You have to think of the optics. And the same thing goes with the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I think it's so complicated, nobody can. And I don't know if we'll ever completely know precisely how this played out. It's so complicated.
Probably not until after Ascension, in the sense that we'll have more of a bandwidth to have that knowledge sink in, I guess, if we're at a higher frequency and vibration at that time. So I'm kind of, this is just my theory, I kind of have a feeling that everything will come clear when we can handle it. And certainly at this point up till now, while we're still very much trapped within, the frameworks of the 3D and everything else, feels like we can't handle some of that information now, but might present later when mankind is at that level once an Ascension event takes place. I kind of feel like everything's positioning itself for people to now go through what I would call the next chapter of disclose in the way of us being drip-fed things to slowly deprogram the population, but it feels like it's stepped up another level now. We've reached a marker, and now things seem to be going a lot quicker. And, so have you got anything else that you wanted to add about the election stuff? And let me know when you're sort of ready for me to ask some other questions.
Yeah, so I've got a few other things to share here. So this is on TikTok. You can see where here. The dollar sign is the serpent and the staff, which we've all known. From that site there on TikTok, when you realize the dollar sign is the serpent and the staff, and then also this one, wanted for high crimes against the American people, United States Federal Reserve, Fed, also known as the syndicate, the cartel, the cabal, counterfeiting money. This is all very accurate. Counterfeiting, money laundering, conspiracy, fraud, racketeering. Federal Reserve is involved in a multi-decade Ponzi scheme while posing as a federal agency that runs a circular debt-for-debt exchange, which has no actual reserves. Absolutely. So
that's right.
pulled this
Bleeding the
one
sweat
up
equity
too.
too.
Yeah, I talked about this. I wanted to pull it up to show people I'm not making it up. At Mario Naffo on X,
Yep, it's verified too.
breaking asylum seekers caught with 30,000 rounds of ammo in Arizona. I think I said Colorado, so I sit corrected, including 10,050 calibers bullets. Cochise County
Big rounds.
That's a lot.
What are they going to use them for? Like, that's an army, a battalion.
I fired a 50 caliber mounted, and even mounted on the inside of the sail of the submarine, firing at the big milk carts we had, float them out and shoot them. It just about put my elbows through my shoulder blades. I had like earplugs plus the big monkey, big mouse ears, and it was deafening. It was like, okay, I'm good. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm glad I'm in submarines. I don't have to fire this thing. So because we were a submarine that went into Nam, so underwater, but into the Bay of Tonkin is all. So Cochise County seized, deputy seized a staggering, I would say, 10,050 and then 20,000 AK-47 stuffed into vehicles transported by asylum seekers. The 50 cal rounds are at 38,500 value. ATF and Homeland Security are leading the investigation of the high-stakes ammo. Authorities are probing its source and intended destination. So there you are.
So that's a throwback to Fast and Furious in a way, I guess, isn't it?
And Sunday.
Not January 19th.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, for the audience, because you're obviously military based, and I'm just a civvy civilian. Many of us out there. How much is that in terms of willpower? Like, would that fund, or not fund, but provide weaponry for a battalion for a whole day?
Oh no, you will go through that in no time at all. That won't last very long. It sounds like a lot. Go watch Brian the Levitt of the New Atlas on Rumble or on YouTube. And he goes through the stats on how much a battalion will burn through in a day or a month or a week or a year or whatever. And I know from just what we discharged on the 50 cal that day in the sail for a few hours, we went through a lot. We went through nearly that. Everybody on the crew had to fire to become, qualified on it, so to speak. But that doesn't last very. People that aren't military don't know. So I totally understand. It sounds like it's a lot, but it's not.
Okay, no, understood.
It won't last that long.
Well, at least it's out of the hands of bad people now, and hopefully they'll catch a lot more of these sort of minions that are still left running around.
Yeah. So I found this one very, very interesting. This is another one that I got sent. It's, again, same X platform, clandestine, at war clandestine.
Mm-hmm.
Biden, this is huge. Biden can pardon Hunter and Fauci all he likes. Trump is not the only man that they are running from. There's another powerful man who directly accused Biden, Fauci, and others of crimes against humanity for bioweapon production. I was talking about this in Ukraine. He has it all. The Russian military got it. He and Trump are about to negotiate. Could it be in these negotiations the following? Putin and his representatives have been adamant since 2022 that they want justice for bioweapon productions in Ukraine. They have been repeatedly seeking UN Council investigation enactment of Articles 4 and 5 of the Biological Weapons Convention of 1972. If the U.S. were to stop vetoing these advances and a UN Security Council investigation confirmed criminality, it would result in an international military tribunal, like the Nuremberg trials, composed of military judges from multiple nations. Putin said that he wants military tribunals for those who killed Russian citizens via man-made pathogens made in Ukraine. During the negotiations for the end of the war in Ukraine with Trump, this topic is surely going to come up. I totally agree. The Biden crime family and Fauci may have bigger problems to worry about. U.S. pardons do not cover international crimes such as crimes against humanity.
I was just commenting there just about how important that impact's going to be, because obviously Trump's promised to end the war in Ukraine, and that means he's going to have to come together with Putin, and that perhaps maybe when they're going to disclose the truth about the biolabs, perhaps. But it seems like Trump always plays dumb, but he knows a lot more than what he's really saying or thinking. That potentially could be maybe the next steps in how they're going to do that across the world stage. And also restoring Russia's, the truth about that country and the goodness. Thinking back to when President Putin was with Tucker Carlson in that interview, how he focused on the history of Russia and the whole history of how things were to the way they are now, and how some of the lands were changed over and everything else. So I think that's also crucial that Putin also did that, if we sort of think back to that interview, in the sense that it's leading up to where things are going in terms of disclosing the truth about what's been happening with propaganda and all that kind of thing, and how the deep state was really trying to use Russia, because they hated Russia for what they did in the Middle Ages when they held the Khazarian Empire to account, which essentially is what Ukraine today is. And I always look at it as UK reign, not just like the name itself. I see it as kind of an instrument that was from the City of London, if you will. They always use these proxy states and all that to carry out deep state operations. And the Odessa line, if you look at World War II and the Russian U-boats and everything else, German. Why was there an Odessa line? Perhaps they've got underground facilities there, and there's probably a lot more to do with some of the breakaway Fourth Reich Nazis than we conventionally even know about. It feels like everything's coming to a head. Everything's stepping in the right direction now. And it's good to see some clarity, transparency moving forward on the world stage. And I certainly hope to see now that America, basically, the rest of the world follows whatever America does. And I feel like it's given confidence now where people can speak out freely and not be attacked as much. Certainly it feels like that in the political landscape across the world as well. More people are being more overt about truth, disclosure, and all these topics. And I feel like if we look at 2024, that's the landscape towards disclosure. The markers have been set. And I've noticed a pattern in this where there'll be things that are dropped that aren't the full thing, but that will lead into maybe the next year or two or whatever, where the full story will unfold. But because people have been, subconsciously deprogrammed or, had the seed planted, it's not so shocking when it gets to that point. And as we know from the quantum gateway that the Q-posts function from and everything else, the quantum computer extrapolation tools that the military and the White Hats have been using in the Alliance and parts of, I guess, Norfolk, Virginia's Q team there, if that's the right place. Generally speaking, it's all been about the best possible timeline and the least amount of collateral damage. Would you kind of say that's a good way to sort of tie that in? And do you think that's kind of why things have played out the way they have?
Absolutely, Matt. So on the what is under Odessa, I've covered that in previous interviews. I even showed a map of the tunnels and then a maglev line that goes straight to Kiev. And then during World War II, Hitler had a series of wolf compounds, they're called. They were interconnected through Europe underground. And so there's a lot of decodes that are wanting to be done that we're looking at doing, and other things along that. I have shown some of that. I'm working on several dumb decodes simultaneously right now. Redoing the U.S. for what's actually in them or was in them, as well as a deep intro part 2. I did a deep intro part 1, and they did just a regular intro. And then I'm doing a U.S. and then also a Dulce series, because Dulce is massive. So then I'll be going into other places like Europe and the Middle East and all of these other areas. So then along what you were saying about the way we're going to have to do this, back to Clandestine actually has a blog. So we saw him on X. Here it is. Yesterday, Clandestine, the stage is set. This is his newsletter. So will this time, in other words, this time with Trump be different? Because in 2017, the mainstream media still had control of public perception. Boy, did there. Was that they sure did. And Trump was hamstrung by the Russian Mueller hoax. In 2025, people no longer believe the MSM. Yeah, that's why they can't sell it. This Nobody Cares, a communist news network. And they support Trump's agenda. They believe Trump now. Back in Trump's first term, the overwhelming majority of the public didn't know that a deep state existed. All of social media was corrupt and still censoring the truth. And the mainstream media controlled the narrative. How could Trump convince 300 plus million Americans that they were brainwashed, living in an Orwellian dystopia, and that he is not actually a Russian asset / the man with the mustache? Still have to just being careful about censorship. I don't know if it's true, it's gone or not. So you know what I mean. You can read it on your screen. So this is why, it's like, my goodness, we need that freedom.
It's gotten insane. It's freedom of speech. So YouTube's still a problem. I mean, I'm happy with Rumble to this day. But it's just crazy. This is unbelievable.
So he had to prove it. So over the last 8 years, Trump proved it. All of his narratives turned out to be true. And the mainstream media got caught in lie after lie. The border, the corruption, the fake news, everything. And in their attempts to stop Trump, the deep state exposed their existence. And now hundreds of millions are awake. None of this is possible without Elon buying Twitter and allowing the free flow of information which allowed the people to circumvent the corrupt media. Now, thanks to X, and I would say Rumble and other sites like that as well, the people control the narrative, and the mainstream media has been neutralized, I would say, for the most part. They no longer control public perception, I would say, for the most part. Their lies don't work anymore. So when Trump does what is necessary, the public won't fall for the mainstream media saying he is a dictator. Now Trump has the political ammunition, the optics, the precedent, and the public support to utilize his full power as POTUS without worrying of the MSM causing civil unrest. The stage is set. So the TDIS, it's obvious, with winning the popular vote by millions, as well as the Electoral College, as well as all the 7 swing states, and the other states that she won, she didn't. That was because they didn't have proper voter ID or no voter ID necessary. So
the alliance allowed a little bit of, a victory for Trump, but not totally smashing and annihilating the Democrats. Would you say that's sort of?
Again, I think it's optics to show that voter ID, proper voter ID, is absolutely necessary. It becomes obvious when the only states that are blue don't have proper or don't have voter ID required at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for people to see now in the open. And I think a lot of people are coming around to that. And certainly when they do reveal that, that perhaps they'll announce they're going to do it quantumly from the future moving forward with maybe, a component where you might have to manually vote and keep a receipt of your vote or something like that. I feel like that's going to intertwine with the changes that will come up with how voting systems will look in the future. So do you feel that's where that's going, in the sense where we're going to have accountability, transparency, where everyone will be able to contribute and hold their elected people accountable as well? So we can all have